Right, so hello everyone. So I wanted to make this really quick video about how to go from the standard form of a quadratic to vertex form, okay? This is a very important skill in algebra, I feel like, because, especially if you do go to calculus 2 or even, cal 1 or cal 2, you're gonna have to, learn how to do this. Um, Basically, how to go from the standard form to the vertex form, right? So let's get started. So let's just say I have a function that says x squared minus 2x plus 4. So this is my function, right? And we know that this function is of the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, right? And we know that here a equals 1, b equals -2, right? And c is equal to 4, right? Now, the idea is that we want to go from this form to the form, so this is what we call standard form, okay? This one is what we call standard form, okay? Now we want to go from that to vertex form. Vertex form is the following. It's a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. So this is the vertex form right here, okay? So how are we going to do this, right? Well, we know that to find, first of all, there's two ways. The first way is by finding your vertex using the axis of symmetry, plugging it in for x, and then, just knowing what a equals. And also, we also know that when we have the vertex form, the value, so if we have hk, that is considered our vertex, right? So if we grab our function, we're basically gonna use what is called the axis. So we're gonna find what is called the axis of symmetry. And if you don't know what the axis of symmetry is, it is the line in a parabola that, It is the line in a parabola that, kind of, so if we have a parabola like this, and this is our vertex right here, right? And it's not, of course, it's not drawn to scale, but this is our vertex. This is hk, and the axis of symmetry is this part here. It's like a line that kind of mirrors the parabola. And this is what we call x equals h. That line we call x equals h. So that's the idea. We're gonna go ahead and find our vertex, our axis of symmetry, and then plug it in to find our vertex. So here, like I said, we have a equals 1, b equals -2, and c equals 4, right? So we're gonna find there's a specific formula for the axis of symmetry, that is x equals -b over 2a, okay? Now, we know that so we're going to use this to find the x value of our vertex, which is x equals h, which is the axis of symmetry. So we're going to say x equals, and then we know that b is equal to -2, so we're going to say negative of -2 over 2 times 1, right? So then this is going to be x equals 2 over 2, which is 1. So we know that x equals 1. This is our axis of symmetry. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in for x in our function. So we have y equals x squared minus 2x plus 4, right? So basically we're going to plug this in for x, right? So now we're going to have y equals the quantity 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 4. This is 1 minus 2 plus 4, which is -1 plus 4, because 1 minus 2 is -1, and then plus 4, and that's going to give us 3. It's going to give us 3. So our vertex is 1, 3. Now, like I said, the vertex form is y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k, right? So we know that hk is our vertex, right? So of course we also know that a in this case, because so we know that y equals x squared minus 2x plus 4 is like y equals 1x squared minus 2x plus 4, so then that means a equals 1. So it's like, it's like I did up here, right? I said a equals 1, so we have 1 right here, and then b equals -2, right? So b equals -2, right? Which is, so it's minus 2x, right? So let me go ahead and so 1x squared, and then minus 2x, so you can say plus -2x, and then plus 4, right? We know that a equals 1, b equals -2, and c equals 4. So we're going to grab this and we're just going to plug it in. So we have y equals 1 times the quantity x, and then, like I said, the vertex is 1, 3. That means that h, so again, the vertex is hk. It's hk, so like this, h comma k, and so we have x minus 1. Oh, and by the way, it's squared, not like that, but it's squared. X minus h squared, right? Plus k. So we have squared plus, and then we have k, which is 3, right? Because again, this is h, and then this is k. Okay, so then that means that because 1 times x minus h squared, or x minus 1 squared is just x minus 1 squared, we can just say x minus 1 squared plus 3. And this is how you change it from standard form to vertex form. I mean, that is one way. The second way to do it is by using something called completing the square, right? So that was by, finding the vertex and just, doing it that way. There's also completing the square. Okay, this one says, so we have y equals the quantity, and we're gonna do, or actually we have, it's x squared minus 2x plus 4, right? So x squared minus 2x plus 4. This is y equals, and then we have, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this equal to 0, right? And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna subtract 4 on both sides, okay? So we have x squared minus 2x equals negative 4. Here's the thing, we need a third value called c, right? So, but if we add c to one side, we have to add it to the other side, okay? So this is gonna be equal to negative 4 plus c, okay? There's a specific formula that says c equals your b value over 2 squared, okay? Now we know what a and b are. A equals 1, because 1x squared, right? And b is negative 2, okay? Because bx, ax squared plus bx plus c, okay? You always want to remember this standard form. So, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and grab, so you're going to say c, and then you're going to say that's equal to, and you're going to grab your b value, so we know that b is negative 2, so you have negative 2 over 2 quantity squared, okay? This gives us that c equals negative 1 squared with parentheses like this, and that means that c equals 1, okay? So then we have x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals negative 4, and then we're going to add, like I said, add c to both sides. So we know that c is equal to 1. We already solved for it right here. Plus 1 right here. So it's going to be x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals negative 3. Now, if you know how to factor in your head, that is great, but some people are not that good at it. What you're going to do is you're going to do something called the X box, okay? What you do is you grab a, and so there's four corners, right? On the top corner, you're gonna do a times c, okay? So a times c, like that. So this is your c value. Again, I would recommend that you put a equals 1, b equals negative 2, and then c equals to 1, right? In this case, because this is what, this is what c equals to right here. This is c, right? So, because we already, we've already come up with that formula, right? So this X box is like the thing that will, it simplifies everything for us when it comes to factoring, if we don't know how to factor a quadratic in our heads, right? So, on the bottom, you do a b value like this. You put your b value, and so we know that 1 times c, or a times c, is 1 times 1. That's just 1, right? On the bottom, we have a negative 2. Now, here is where it gets interesting. You want to find two numbers that multiply to 1 and add to negative 2, okay? So, if you do of course, the only numbers that you know multiply to 1 are 1 times 1 and negative 1 times 1. Now you ask yourself, which of these adds to negative 2 if I or I'm sorry, -1 times -1, excuse me. So then you ask yourself, which of these adds to -2? So I know 1 plus 1 is 2, so that's not -2. What about -1 minus 1? Or -1 plus -1? That's -2, right? So you're going to use those two for these other corners here, right? Now, you do a box, right? You do a box. You have here you have ax squared. Here you have, let's call this one m, and let's call this one n, okay? Mx is gonna go right here. So like that. So let's see. So we have mx right here, like that. And then we also have nx. Okay. This is the form, okay? And I know it's a lot, but it's literally how we do it in algebra. So it's very important to understand how this is done. And then we have our C value. Our C value is this part here, right? So we're going to go ahead and fill it in. So we have ax squared, we have 1. So it's just 1x squared, right? We can just put x squared right here because it's 1x squared. Our m value was -1. So we have -1 x, and then our n value was -1 again, -1 x. Our c value is 1. Now, what are the most simple way to like understand what x squared equals? So we can have x times x, right? Because that's x squared. What about -1? How do I get what times x gives me -1x? So if I have 2 times x, that's 2x. But what about 1 times x? Or I'm sorry, -1x. Something times x gives me -1x. If I divide both sides by x here, that'll give me that this little part will be equal to -1. So it's going to be -1 times x, right? This one is x times what gives me -1x. So this is going to be times -1. And then we just have -1 times -1 equals 1, right? So that gives me the quantity x minus 1 squared equals -3. Lastly, what you're going to do is you're going to add 3 to both sides to make it equal to 0. Okay? This gives us x minus 1 squared plus 3 equals 0. And this means that y equals x minus 1 squared plus 3. The thing is, because any quadratic, when you do, the reason why I said that, I made it equal to y is because any quadratic that you have, so like x squared minus 2x plus 1, if they tell you to solve this, you set it equal to 0. You always set it equal to 0. So if that sounds confusing, just know that when we set it equal to 0, that's kind of the way that we do it when we solve quadratics. But you can just, once you set it equal to 0, you can say that this would be the actual equation that you can solve for x, by completing the square. But yes, this would be your answer. And that is the exact answer that I got right over here. X minus 1 squared plus 3, okay? So, with that being said, guys, I really hope that helps. Please let me know if you have any questions. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.